Wake up, everyone! G6 was just announced! Yes, you heard me right, and no, this is not another April Fool's video. And guys, I am really excited for this one. We officially have the show's name, artwork, interviews, the theme song, voice actors, concepts, tone, and a freaking podcast? There's a lot of new stuff to cover, so let's jump right on in, okay? Okay, first off, we officially have a name for this new generation, and it's called Forever Friendship. And this is the new logo, making the abbreviations for our latest generations FIM, ANG, and F. We also have this artwork that has been leaked recently and has been floating around the internet, though now it has been officially released and I can talk about it without worrying about Hasbro's ninjas taking me down. And yes, they are reusing the G4 characters. Speaking of the G4 characters, you might notice something, or rather two somethings missing from this artwork, but we'll talk about that more in a bit because there seems to be a lot more going on than meets the eye initially in terms of these characters. Which, speaking of the cast, new voice actors were announced. Pinkie Pie is being voiced by Keiya Kaneshiro. Fluttershy is being voiced by Kayla Sampson. And yes, I will be getting these two names confused, and so will you. Then we've got Rainbow Dash being voiced by Ava Preston. And our main pony of the main ponies, Twilight Sparkle, is being voiced by none other than Jenna Weir. Okay, that is like the general base information on this show. Now, before we go into all the other new information and I give my thoughts on this whole situation, there is something I kind of need to address in terms of like the discourse surrounding this show. And it's mostly like the concerns I've seen people have for this show that have been floating about. Like, I've seen a lot of people hating on this show just based on these factors alone. And I have to say, as the guy who kind of built his channel on criticizing G5 and has like zero reason to shell out for Hasbro, I'm genuinely excited for this series, and based on what I've seen, I think it has a lot going for it. First off, in terms of like the questions that people have, why are they remaking G4? Well, to answer that, by the sound of things, they're not. There was a panel at San Diego Comic-Con recently where people who were working on the show, including Gretchen Mallory, the head writer, announced that G6 is currently in production, gave a little bit of behind the scenes, and answered some questions. But not only were people who were working on the show there, but they got the freaking creator of G4, Lauren Faust, on the panel. Now, I have heard some people saying that this is just for show, or it's just so that she can be there to put her stamp of approval on it. But no! No. This is a lot bigger than people realize. Her being here is not a small deal. And we'll get into why, but I'm getting ahead of myself with this. First, I gotta answer that question I brought up. Why are they just remaking G4 instead of making something new? Well, during the panel, which was not officially live streamed by the way, I had to watch it via this lovely fellow on Twitter X, who was kind enough to live stream it. During the panel, the show creator said that this is not a sequel, this is not a prequel, this is not a reboot, this is a reimagining of G4, and that it is not supposed to repeat G4, but rather echo it. So basically, they stay true to the original characters and they have a lot of the same locations, but they reinterpret everything and make it something new. And yes, while I would prefer all original characters and a new setting, I honestly don't blame them. This is just a theory of mine, but I think My Little Pony is entering what I am calling its Transformers stage. Looking at another Hasbro property, Transformers is a franchise with many different TV shows and movies. But across nearly all of them, they reuse the same characters and settings over and over and over again, though each time, the stories are slightly different. They throw in a few new additions to the cast, rework some existing characters, remove some stuff, add some stuff, but regardless, Cybertron is still there. We still have Optimus Prime as the leader of the Autobots fighting the Decepticons, Megatron is always the villain, Bumblebee can never talk, Starscream's always there, but despite all the similarities, the original show from the 80s is very different from the Michael Bay movies, which are also different from Transformers Prime, which is distinct from War on Cybertron. Now, I just realized I'm sounding like a huge Transformers nerd. I promise I'm not. but I do really like Transformers Prime. That's a good show. I think MLP is going to start doing the same thing Transformers is doing, using the same characters and setting, but perhaps changing things like a few personality quirks, or rules in the story, the magic system, or maybe adding some new locations, etc. And looking at it from their perspective, they basically have two options here. They can either A, start from scratch and create an all-new cast of characters in a new world with a brand new magic system, locations, styles, seek out a brand new audience, and just desperately hope that they find an audience before it gets canceled. Or option B, they can use the same characters and dynamics that they know already work well in a style they already know that people love and immediately grabs the attention of older fans, who, if they like the show, will go and tell their family of friends, jump-starting the show's success. Unfortunately, when it came to G5, they chose option C, where they tried to have their cake and eat it too by making a sequel with all original characters while still trying to ride G4's success, and we all know how that turned out. So, from a business perspective, this move makes sense. And from a creative perspective, it can definitely work, as demonstrated by franchises like Transformers and Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, I already hear you fuming in the comments, and I know what you're asking. Why? Why, Starstrike, are you defending Hasbro? Don't we want original stories? Don't we want companies to give new concepts and new characters a chance? Yes, I agree. And in most cases, I would be saying the exact same thing as you. But this case is a little different, and it has to do with Lauren Faust, who I said we would get to, but I'm not quite there yet. For me to make my point about her, we need a little bit more context so that you can truly understand why I am so okay with them reusing characters like this, and what the real significance is of Lauren Faust being at this panel. Oh, and just in case there's anyone out there who thinks I am paid by Hasbro or something to shell out for them, I'm not. Here, let me prove it to you. Hey Hasbro, I don't know if I've told you this, but Make Your Mark sucks. I am killing my chances of any kind of partnership. Equestria Daily gets an exclusive interview with the head writers, and all I get is a blurry live stream of a panel I can't attend. I'm just kidding. Shugnuzzy, thank you for live streaming it. I legitimately really appreciate it. Actually, most of my information, just so you know, is either coming from the panel or it's coming from this interview, both of which I will link in the description if you want to check them out. So, now for the next question/concern that I see people raising. Where the heck are Applejack and Rarity? Why has the cast been reduced down to 4 ponies? Like, even just saying the main 4 sounds wrong. I kid you not, this is the biggest thing that people are talking about right now. I mean, unless you count a new generation, it's been the main 6 for like over a decade at this point. I've seen a lot of people who are really mad about this fact, and that was another thing that was actually addressed in the panel, and honestly, their response is something that gives me a lot of hope for this series. Quote, "Though you may not see 2 of your favorite ponies in the core unit at the very start, this is only the very beginning of the story." Just the beginning, you say? Now, I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but to me, this sounds like they are planning to, or at least really want to, add Rarity and Applejack into the show at some point in the future. So don't worry, they're likely not gone forever. But that being said, I do understand being upset that they aren't there to begin with. Though, as weird as it may seem to say, them not being there is actually another reason why I have some faith in this show. You know, people are asking the question, why aren't they there? Well, I want to now ask you that exact same question, and I want you to try and logically figure out an answer. Legitimately, why aren't they there? What reason do they have to leave out 2 iconic characters that people love, that we know sell toys and elevate the show, only to just bring them back later? I don't think that this was a Hasbro decision, because Rarity is their dress girl, and we all know Hasbro loves selling their dress-up toys. And if they plan to bring them back later, then Hasbro definitely didn't ban them from appearing in the show. This, to me, seems like a creative decision, which means that for the story they are telling, Applejack and Rarity likely just didn't fit, or they had too many characters to introduce and focus on, and they needed to reduce the number a bit so that the others could be more fleshed out. And personally, I'm okay with that. I don't know about you, but I would much rather get 4 well-developed characters now and 2 more well-developed characters later than just start off with 6 okay characters that don't really hook me, and I have to wait an entire season or 2 before the show actually gets good. And in the writer's defense, 6 characters are a lot to keep track of and develop, especially when you're only given 9 minutes per episode to actually do anything. Yeah, by the way, each episode is only going to be 9 minutes long. Yeah, I'm not happy about that, but hey, at least they're going to be uploaded to YouTube for free, so that's a plus. Though if it's a YouTube series, that might suggest a really low budget. I don't know. Another thing I want to address is the new voice cast, because I've seen a lot of people who are very upset about the new casting for what I can only describe as, okay, let's try not upset too many people with this. Absolutely no good reason whatsoever. A lot of people are upset that they didn't get the old cast back from Friendship is Magic. And I gotta say, honestly, on the off chance that they even could get everyone back and the cast actually wanted to come back, personally, I don't want them back. Now, I don't dislike them or anything. I will always love their performances in Friendship is Magic. But also, this show isn't Friendship is Magic. This is G6. This is a different series. This Twilight is not the same as this Twilight. This Rainbow Dash is not the same as this Rainbow Dash. This Pinkie Pie is not this Pinkie Pie. Same with Fluttershy and Applejack and Rarity. Oh yeah, I forgot. I don't want to look at this show and see G4. That's not what a reboot of My Little Pony should be. I personally have no problem with them reimagining G4, so long as they change enough to make it their own thing. And I think something that would really help distinguish this version of MLP from G4 is having all new voice actors. Also, I don't think that you get to claim that you both want them to be original and want something brand new, and then when they hand you something different, complain that it's not G4. Like, if I'm being honest, that just seems a little hypocritical to me. I'm not trying to call anyone out or attack anybody who doesn't like G6, but I've seen a lot of people who are immediately hating on the show, saying that it's gonna be absolutely terrible, and I'm just trying to make a point that the first episode hasn't even come out yet, and it's not really fair to judge it unless we've actually seen it. It's valid to have concerns. I have concerns. There's no problem with that. But I've just been seeing a lot of people online immediately jumping the gun and calling the show garbage before a single episode even comes out, and it just feels way too early to be making that kind of judgment. Oh gosh, the video is half over and I've barely covered anything. Oh, okay, let's pick this up a bit. The theme song just dropped on Spotify. You can go listen to it now, and I'll be honest, I don't like it. I'm not the biggest fan of pop songs when it comes to movies and TV shows. Something about them always just feels so generic and samey. It's one of the problems I have with G5. Literally all of the songs were pop, and there were very few that I actually enjoyed, as opposed to something like G4, which had musical theater, a tango, acoustic, country, and yes, pop. Though whenever G4 did pop songs, I genuinely liked them. They always felt like they fit really well, and they did feel unique. But there were also a lot more genres than just pop, which allowed for a lot of the songs to really stand out. Unfortunately, it seems like they are going to be repeating G5 here, not just with the theme song being pop, but likely the entire series. When talking about the music during the panel, the head writer, Gretchen Mallory, said, quote, "There is so much music coming, you guys. So much music, and we are calling it Nay-pop. Because it's very poppy, it's fun, it's hopeful, it's dark? Question mark? Excuse me? What do you mean it's dark?" Hold on to that bit of info, because it is another thing that, I know I keep saying it, but we will return to it later because it has something to do with Lauren Faust being on the panel. Something else that I've noticed that is a crime, by the way, is that the new theme song doesn't have the classic My Little Pony motif, at all. You all know it, the da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, that one? Yeah, that's not present in the theme song. Even G5 had its own version at the very beginning of the theme song. This is something that transcends generations. It's been around since the 80s. It's iconic. You can't not include it. The closest thing they have is this part where it goes, "My little pony, my little pony," which is not the same thing.
My little pony.
haven't even talked about the lyrics to this song because they're like the absolute worst part for me. I'm not joking, the lyrics are so bad, the next video I make is very likely to be an entire video dissecting that song and how much I hate the lyrics. And it's not just because I don't think that the lyrics are very creative, which they aren't, but if the theme song accurately reflects what the TV show's gonna be like, the lyrics make me genuinely really concerned about what the messaging of this show is gonna be. Cause like, it's really bad. And I know that's an absurd thing to say. How can I possibly be reading that much into a theme song? But guys, I promise it all makes sense. I've already spent too much time on the theme song and I don't have time to do an in-depth analysis on it, but I promise, like, if I get to making a video on it, I will sound at least a little bit less like the crazy man that I am. Now that I've gotten that rant out of the way, I can finally address the alicorn in the room, Lauren Faust. I want you to think for a moment about what this suggests and ask yourself a question. Why is she here? As far as I can tell, she's not working on the show. So does that mean she's just there to put her stamp of approval on it? Possibly. And you might be thinking, she was paid by Hasbro to be there just to get back the old fans. She's paid to get her stamp of approval on it. Okay, cool. Maybe you're right. But think about that for a moment. That gives two likely options. Either A, she is there giving her stamp of approval out of the kindness of her heart because she genuinely believes in the project, in which case it's probably good, or B, Hasbro brought her in to get the old fans back. Hasbro, the ones who supposedly don't care about their adult fan base and only want the younger audience? That Hasbro? Why do they care what the adults think? Furthermore, I want you to think about where this happened. They did not announce this in a news article or social media post. They took the time and money to rent out a space and send their workers off to announce this brand new show at San Diego Comic-Con, the biggest convention in the entire country, drawing in over 130,000 attendees every year. A convention, mind you, that is primarily filled with adults. These people are not the normal targeted demographic for My Little Pony. You do not do something like that unless you want to get this news out in front of as many adult fans as possible. And not just pre-existing fans, because this didn't happen at like a My Little Pony convention or anything. This happened at San Diego Comic-Con, where people who have never seen My Little Pony are hanging out. This looks like an attempt to bring in new adult fans. Furthermore, they took the time to call up Lauren Faust, who the 6-year-olds are not going to recognize, nor will they know the significance of, and send her to help promote the show to, again, adults. Do you see where I'm going with this? Let's take a look at some other actions by Hasbro in the past year or two. They've been launching a lot of products lately that are deliberately aimed at older fans. And I'm not just talking about G4 fans, I'm talking about fans of the older generations as well. They've had a retro line of products that they've been putting out a while, which, while yes, kids might enjoy them, it's definitely geared towards adult fans. And just a little bit more evidence that they are actually targeting adults with this, other than their actual words where they straight up said that was their goal. They seem to be suggesting that they're gonna be having some darker elements. Like I brought up earlier, some of the pop songs are going to be dark? I don't know exactly what that means, but you've got me intrigued. But yeah, they straight up said that they are indeed trying to target adults as well as children. So that's really cool. Something else that's happening that I think is really cool though, is that the show creators are going to be running what Gretchen Mallory calls a quote, fan-first podcast, talking about the show, what their vision is for it, behind the scenes, and their process creating it. And you know what? I think that's a brilliant idea. Right now, people have a lot of questions like, why are they not including Rarity and Applejack? And a podcast like this that helps explain their creative decisions, I think would really help to maintain trust between the audience and creators. Because right now, people are very skeptical of G6, and rightfully so. G5 was really rough, and this show reusing the same characters is a very questionable decision, and people are really mad about them axing Rarity and Applejack. But I think a podcast like this to stay in touch with the fans would really help to calm people's nerves and reassure fans that the franchise is in good hands. Or it could confirm everyone's worst nightmare and we all learn that no one at Hasbro really knows what they're doing. That's also possible. But I don't think it's fair yet to jump to any conclusions immediately and say, oh, the show's gonna be horrible, or oh, the show's gonna be amazing. Like, it's just too early to tell at this point. I mean, we all thought the Sonic movie was gonna be an absolute dumpster fire when the trailer first released, and now look at it. It's currently got a 4th movie in the works, and the 3rd one's Rotten Tomatoes score looks like this! I've not actually seen the 3rd movie yet. I've got to get on that. Going back to the retro point and them targeting adults, take a look at this new art style. This isn't exactly what they're going to look like in the show, but it does give a general idea as to what they're going for. It looks a lot like they're trying to mimic the classic versions of MLP, and I know I've been asking a lot of them, but I genuinely think that it's a good way to get people thinking, so let me ask you yet another question. Why would they put all of this effort into getting the attention of adult fans who are not their targeted demographic? Why would the lead people of this show, not Hasbro executives, the creatives, run a podcast that kids are not going to be listening to unless they were actively trying to make this show appeal to adults? My point with all of this is that we don't really need to worry about it being super kiddie and dumbed down like Dora the Explorer or Peppa Pig. Like, they have made it crystal clear that they are trying to target both kids and adults, which honestly might be the only way to really get kids into it these days. Did you know that 87% of kids aged 2 to 5 prefer YouTube over traditional TV or other video platforms? That means that kids are no longer the ones who are likely to be watching My Little Pony anymore. They're too busy getting all their dopamine and attention spans cooked out by TikTok and shorts. And Hasbro knows this. Why do you think Tell Your Tale consisted of 5-minute episodes posted to YouTube? But if the adults want to watch My Little Pony and share it with their children, and My Little Pony becomes a family activity, and families can watch the show together, then suddenly you now have the parents introduce their kids to My Little Pony. And that's how you reach the kids now. They already tried loud, short, fast-paced content with Tell Your Tale, and it got canceled because it just wasn't performing well enough. So maybe this new generation will change that. By the way, as a side note, I am currently only 6,000 subscribers away from surpassing the official Tell Your Tale YouTube channel. So you want to press the subscribe button, help a guy out, help me reach the goal of 118,000 subscribers? Thanks. By the way, I am still working on my 100K live stream special. I know it's been months since I've gotten that, but there have just been a lot of delays in the process, but it's coming. I still have not opened my silver play button. It is currently sitting on my desk, and I am waiting to open that so that I can do it live on camera. I don't think that this show is going to top Friendship is Magic. I often hear people describe that show as lightning in a bottle, and I think that's a fitting description. No one expected it to do as well as it did, and it really is something special. But also, it's been 7 years since Friendship is Magic ended, and I'm ready for something new. So I am cautiously optimistic about this series, and I'm genuinely excited for it. I think it's looking like it's gonna have a really good start, and the creators seem very fan-focused. And we really shouldn't truly judge it until it comes out. But what do you guys think about the news? Are you excited? Are you terrified? Are you impartial? Do you even care? Let me know down in the comments. And I want to give a huge thank you and shout out to my channel members, especially these names that you see up on screen now, for supporting me. If you want to become a channel member for as little as $1 a month, you can get exclusive perks such as, well, not much, honestly. I don't really have time to make exclusive content or anything. Everything I make just immediately goes public for free. Now, these people who are supporting me are doing it purely out of the kindness of their heart, and I really do appreciate it. So, thank you guys. Thank you.